Somebody's Mother by Mary Dow Brine. Mary Dow Brine was born in 1816 in New York. She was an American poet, author, and lyricist. She is best known for her poem Somebody's Mother. She passed away in 1913 at the age of 97. Her noble works include Grandpa and His Deer, The Barren Tree, The Brook's Last Song, and many more. The woman was old and ragged and grey, and bent with the chill of a winter's day. The streets were white with a recent snow, and the women's feet with age were slow. At the crowded crossing, she waited long, jostled aside by the careless throng of human beings who passed her by, unheeding the glance of her anxious eye. Down the street with laughter and shout, glad in the freedom of school let out, came happy boys like a flock of sheep, hailing the snow piled white and deep. Past the women so old and grey, hastened the children on their way. None offered a helping hand to her, so weak and timid, afraid to stir, lest the carriage wheels or the horse's feet should trample her down in the slippery street. At last came out the merry At last came out of the merry troop the gayest boy of all the group. He paused beside her and whispered low, I will help you across if you wish to go. Her aged hand on his strong young arm she placed, and so without hurt or harm he guided the trembling feet along. He guided the trembling feet along, proud that his own were young and strong. Then back again, then back again to his friends he went, his young heart happy and well content. She is somebody's mother, boys you know, for all she is aged and poor and slow, and someone sometime may lend a hand to help my mother, you understand. If ever she is old and poor and grey, and her own dear boy so far away, somebody's mother bowed low her head in her home that night, and the prayer she said was, God be kind to the noble boy who is somebody's son and pride and joy. The poet writes about seeing an old woman on a busy street on a winter's day. The old woman is described as aged and grey. Down the street there was a school that had just let out, and the students, the boys, are in a group just like a flock of sheep. They are happy and free. They all passed by the old women, but none of them offered a helping hand to her. The old woman was feared because of the carriage wheels or the horse's feet that might run over her in the slippery street. Finally, a boy came out of the group to help the lady. He stopped beside her and whispered in a low voice that he would help her across the road if she wished it. The old woman placed her aged hand on the young shoulder of the boy. At this point in the poem, the young boy tells his friends that the old woman is somebody's mother, although she is aged, poor, and slow. He hoped that someone, sometime, might lend a hand to help his own mother if she ever becomes old and poor and her own son is far away. On the other hand, that night, the old lady or somebody's mother bowed her head low. The prayer she said was for God to be kind to the noble boy who had helped her, who was somebody's son and pride and joy. The poet has used AABBCC rhyme scheme in stanzas 3 and 6 and AABB in all the remaining stanzas. In this video, we have learnt the poem Somebody's Mother by Mary Dow Brine. In this poem, we saw how a boy helped the old lady who was unable to cross the street alone and no one was there for her help. The main feature of this poem is to have compassion and kindness for others, like the young boy had for the old women. It leaves the reader with a thought provoking message and a good feeling in the heart to help who are in need.